Okay, today we're going to talk about what an IPV treatment is and what is the expectation from the physician when they order an IPV treatment on a patient. First, we have to understand as therapists that an IPV is essentially a flow interrupting jet ventilator. It's the same thing, uses the same parts that a VDR uses, and it's just an IPV treatment has less knobs and functions to change the volume, but it is still a jet ventilator basically in itself. So when they order an IPV treatment on a patient, they basically could be saying, hey, go get a servo eye and go do a 15-minute treatment with the servo eye. So if they had ordered something like that, you would automatically think, I need to know how much volume you want to give, how much rate, and what FiO2, and all these things that we're accustomed to knowing when we put patients on ventilators like that. However, they don't give any of that to us for the IPV treatment, but we still are responsible for all those variables that we typically would be for just a regular ventilator. So we need to know that, first of all, what they want us to do is to get as much secretions out of the patient as possible without making them hypoxic, hyperacidic, or alkalotic. So we want to get the secretions out without causing any of those other things. So first we have to understand that when we go slower on the percussion, we move bigger volume, and that will cause more CO2 removal. At the same time, it will cause less recruitment, less interthoracic pressure, so you will also have a risk of desaturating as well as derecruiting. When you move faster on the percussion, on the frequency knob, you move lower volumes, but you recruit more lung and you have more interthoracic pressure, or FRC. So you'll have a higher risk of making the patient acidotic at the faster rates, but you'll have less risk of derecruiting and causing hypoxia. So throughout the treatment, you need to evaluate both those variables, what the patient looks like, clinically what he or she is doing, and adjust those frequencies and driving pressures so that you can fix those correct those variables as they happen during the therapy, whether he become alkalotics or he become acidotic or hypoxic. You want to be able to manipulate those settings to stop that from happening. Also, when you give report to somebody or do an IPV treatment, if they don't tolerate the treatment, that would be like saying, I just put them on the servo eye and they didn't tolerate it. What do you want me to do? You need to have ideas of what theoretically happened that they didn't tolerate it. Did they become alkalotic and stop breathing and thus they desatted? Did they become hypoxic and you think they probably derecruited and we didn't give enough mean airway pressure? All those theories should be discussed before we say that they just didn't tolerate the IPV treatment in general.